Oh, this right. Good evening. Welcome to another direct TV on 2627. Nice that you all came again. And this is being streamed tonight, so we've got audience in the bar, I think, as well, a few. And everywhere, really. There's people logged in already watching everything we're about to do over the next one. So that's really news. Anyone who doesn't know me, I'm Clive Weatherly. I'm the artistic director of this wonderful theatre, and I put together another season of very wonderful shows that have been just as good as the season we've just still experiencing. Lots of variety and the entertainment for everyone, and lots of stuff for you to get involved in. Now, as usual, we've got, I say as usual, it's not entirely true because this year's different, but we've got 9 main stage shows that I am kind of in charge of, and 3 studio productions, courtesy of Danny Swanson, who can't be here tonight. He's on holiday. You might be watching it in a yeah, you might be watching it in a bar in Tenerife. Remember, probably not. So if you've not been to a director's evening before, and there's always some newbies, I know there are some in tonight. Here's how it works. So every director will, and we've got them all in tonight. Fingers crossed about one, but we've got all the directors hopefully present tonight who will present their shows for the next season in a 10 minutes. It's very strict. They have 10 minutes. It's on the stopwatch. Linda here is very strict. She's very strict. If they're approaching their 2 minutes, then 10 minutes. Yeah. And they have those 10 minutes to put forward their vision for their show, what they hope to achieve, what it's going to be like, who they need, what they're looking for, etc., etc. And then after the show tonight, which is why we start at 7, you'll be able to get together in the bar and discuss it further, anything you're interested in. That's how it works. Directors can be as creative as they like with their presentations. So in the past, we've had quizzes, we've had fruit being given away, I remember. We've had scenes occasionally from the play. We've had songs, we've had videos, we've had everything. So I don't know. They never tell me, so I don't know what we're going to get. So who knows? I'm going through this as quickly as I can because I've got quite a lot to say. Now, as mentioned, this season, it's still going on, obviously. We've got some shows still left in the current season. Obviously, the Welling Drama Festival is coming up. There are 2 chances to come and support the barn. We've got 2 entries this year. On the Tuesday, we've got an expanded premiere, am I right, of Benching by Matt Avey. First time it's ever been seen. This was done as part of the Short and Sweet Festival, but it's been expanded by the WDF entry, so that's exciting. Come and see that. And also on the... Sorry? Thank you, Rob. The Thursday, we have an episode from Cabin Pressure, directed by Sharon Francis, and that's sort of a preview because the actual production of Cabin Pressure comes after the festival, which is a bit weird, but it will work. It's like a plug for it. Then after the festival, the next one is that studio production of Cabin Pressure, which is 26th to the 30th of May. Hilarious. Come and see it. Are there still tickets?
Yeah.
Sitting on there?
Yeah.
But it will sell out. I assure you, it will sell out in the studio. And then the final, not the final, the next main stage production of the season is from the 12th to the 20th of June, which is the intriguing X, which will be out of this world in more ways than one. And we'll be hearing more from its director, Matt, later on, so I'll leave him to fill you in from that. And then to finish the season, really excited to say that we've got a youth production again. Exactly. These used to be far more regular, but for various logistical reasons, we haven't had one for the last few years. So we have Woody Allen's death from Woody Allen's death. Woody Allen's death from the 15th to the 18th of July. Directed to Rob here, who you'll be seeing later, obviously. Um, and I was going to say, we don't actually have a youth production for next year yet, but it would be fantastic if we can get one. We've got the slot. The slot is all set up. It's a similar July slot to this year, and it's not too late. If anyone is inspired and has an idea to produce something for the youth, which is so useful for them being involved, with the discipline, the experience of putting on an actual show and not just doing their, Tuesday night workshops or whatever it is. It's fantastic. So please consider it if you have any inspirational ideas to do it. Go and see Death, see what you think. Might spark something off. Speak to Rob, who's directing this one, and that would be fantastic. And if you do want to do it, let me know or let Jacqueline Clayton know anytime in the next few months, and we'll get it scheduled in. Brilliant. So I might as well do a general call in here for directors for, dare I say, 27, 28. Sounds ridiculously early. It's never too early to register with me your interest, ideas, proposals, anything like that. I've already got a handful for 27, 28, unbelievably. So get in if you can. Right, let's get on to 26, 27 then. The handouts that you've all got are obviously in chronological order, call me old-fashioned, but tonight's presentations will not be entirely following that order because of people's availability. They won't generally be, but one will be out of 6. I'll let you all know what's going on. So, we're definitely starting with the first show of the season then. We're going to September with, and she loves doing these presentations. It really does. Please welcome to the stage, Hannah. So I'm told nothing. Start it now.
You haven't realised we're doing this all Monty. Has anyone not seen it or heard of it or anything at all? Great. So it's set in Sheffield in 1990s. It tells the story of 6 unemployed steelworkers struggling with redundancy, loss of identity because they've lost everything they've known, the challenge of rebuilding their lives. Faced with dwindling prospects and mounting pressure, they come up with a wild and unconventional idea: to form their own male strip act. What follows is quite a funny, heartfelt, and deeply human story about friendship, resilience, masculinity, vulnerability, and courage. It's about ordinary people doing something extraordinary and discovering their confidence along the way. The play balances laugh out loud comedy, touching emotional moments, making it an incredibly rewarding show to perform. And more importantly, it reminds us that people can achieve extraordinary things when they support each other. And don't worry, the focus of the play is absolutely on character and storytelling, not just sausage waggling. Although that made us. So, down to sort of cast breakdowns, there is a full sort of audition notice. There was an audition notice in May. Barn News? May? Yes, May. But I'll give you a very brief sort of rundown of the principles. So first off, we have Gaz. So he is charismatic, cheeky, determined, a demoted. Hate this. A devoted but flawed father trying to prove himself. So we're looking for sort of strong comic timing with some sort of emotional depth. We're looking for Gaz to have a northern accent, but we'll come on more on accents in a minute. Dave is the second one. So Dave is Gaz's best friend. He's warm, loyal, funny. He struggles with body confidence, as I'm sure a lot of us do, and self-esteem. So it's very relatable. One for perhaps the larger gentleman. Then we have Gerald, slightly older than Gaz and Dave. He's a former foreman. He's desperately trying to maintain his appearance after losing his job. He's well-spoken, anxious, and proud. Horse. Yes, that's his name. He is older than the others, wise, laid back, humour, heart. He's great presence role. The role, of course, is traditionally played by an older black man, and we would love to encourage anyone to audition for that from that background. That being said, don't be discouraged for auditioning if you don't fit that description. It's strong character and stage presentation that matters the most for this. Lomper. So Lomper is quiet, lonely, quite sensitive. He's touching. He is a touching character who grows in sort of confidence through the friendship of all the others that come around. Then we have Guy, who is confident, charming, physically self-assured. He brings energy and humour to the group. Stop laughing at me. Then we have Nathan. So this is actually quite a nice role for a younger actor. So Nathan plays Gaz's son. So ideally, I'd like Nathan to look about 16, but because of the play, I would like Nathan to ideally be someone who is older than 16, but looks younger. So again, he's bright, observant. He's actually more mature than his father. He's got a key sort of emotional sort of story, and he brings out Gaz's softer side. Then we come on to the ladies, and there are quite a few wonderful lady parts. You've done. Yeah. So we've got Jean, who's Dave's wife. She's caring but frustrated, supportive, honest. Quite a strong role. We've got Mandy, who's Gaz's ex-partner. She's a very protective mother with quite a practical outlook. We've got Linda, who plays Gerald's wife. She's intelligent, perceptive, but she has no idea that her husband has lost his job. Oh, there's more, and I've missed a page. Oh, well, this is going well. There are more, but I don't. It is all in bar news, and there are quite a few more female roles as well. I think those are the principal sort of the main meteor lady roles. But so the others, there are. I'm just going back. But there are quite some comic roles, and there's room for doubling. Because there are also some smaller male roles as well. And female roles that we will double up. As I said, it is all in the bar news. I have actually listed them all down there, but haven't got that picture with me. I have scripts. I know, right? It's very unusual for me. I should tell you the dates. I'm pretty sure it's that first. Oh, well, those are the dates. The 18th to 16th September, but we are probably going to try and sell the preview, which is the 17th. Not that anyone else knows that. And the auditions are going to be Wednesday, the 3rd of June at 7 p.m, Saturday, the 6th of June at 1:30, and both are going to be in room 1. We might have to do seconds, but it depends on so with the characters and stuff, as I said, the ages are going to be quite. I'm not sticking to the ages I've put. It's more about the relationship between the couples, and believability between the couples. So I might look to do some seconds to just sort of work that pairing out. And I'm looking to start rehearsals in July, which I know seems really early, but if anyone has done an opening knows how lovely it is to work around the summer holidays. I said all ages and body types are welcome. In fact, the more diverse, the better. Don't discount yourself if you think you're going to be too old or too young. They're more guidelines. Accents. Whilst it is set in Sheffield, I don't necessarily want all the characters to have northern accents. Some principals, like Gaz, Dave, and Nathan, will need to have a northern, ideally Sheffield accent, and we will work on that. Dancing. Now, don't discount yourself if you can't dance. This is not a Magic Mike audition. Dancing is almost a requirement, which is why I actually got the two people with the worst left feet actually to do this. Talent. All right. Nudity. Let's get to the key part. So, this production does include a moment of nudity for the principal male roles. As with previous productions, such as Calendar Girls, I asked the girls to do it. I will be asking the boys to do it as well. It will be handled with care, professionalism, and respect. And we'll have safeguards, all sorts of stuff to put in play. So you will not see anything, hopefully. But this is going to be real fun to do. So do come along to audition for the possibly organised, but most likely not, Chaos. Crew. I'm working on it. I'm getting there. I've got most of my crew. Ideally, I wanted an all-male crew, but that proved to be a little difficult. I would like an additional ASM who is going to be male, because for that moment at the end, there are only going to be men backstage. All the women are going to be in the green room, telly off, as we did for Calendar Girls, the other way around. 1 minute. I'm getting there. So ideally I would like someone, an additional person. So if you've not done ASM, please come along. And if you have never done props or costume and you are a man and you would like to do that, we would love to see you, because whilst I have got some leaders in that space, I would like them to do it as well. Are we done? Yes. Great. I think that's it. I will be in the bar. So, but we will be there, and so come speak to me. And grab scripts, and thank you very much.
First one where it doesn't follow your sheets. I'm going to jump the next show because Flora's not here yet. She will be arriving, hopefully, for the second half. Something else I didn't mention in my already lengthy intro. There will be an interval tonight after the first 6 presentations. We'll then have a little extra, and then there will be a very short interval, just a pee and pint break. Get back in here as soon as we can, so we can finish as early as we can. Okay, I'll let you know when the interval's coming, but it will be after 6 presentations, no matter what they are. So we're going to jump now to the first studio presentation. Studio public presentation. Now this has changed from what was printed in Bar News, because as usual we are open to the vagaries of the licensing world, and the show that we wanted to do, that Steve wanted to do originally, we couldn't get the license for, unfortunately, but he's equally excited about what he is going to be putting on, the Churchill double bill. So please welcome Steve Thompson.
Separate. Summer 1997. It's Jan here. Summer 1997. Jan and I did a show at Edinburgh Festival, and as you do when you're at Edinburgh Festival, you have to go to the Travellers, which is Craig and me writing. We went to see this film, Blue Heart by Carol Churchill, and I realised when people were watching it, Churchill was sitting right in front of me. So just before it started, I dashed out, ran to the bookshop, bought this, ran back, got her to sign it. There it is. There's the signature. And watched the play. I loved Churchill, but I love this play too. And how fantastic that 30 years later I actually get a chance to do it. Churchill, of course, was the most successful woman writer in this country in the 70s and 80s, and wrote the definitive play about the sexual revolution. Cloud Nine, she wrote the definitive play about Thatcherism, Serious Money. She wrote the definitive play about feminism and Top Girls. In fact, the last time we did Churchill in this theatre was 33 years ago. Shame on us. And it was me directing 3 years ago. Top Girls, with amazing cast, including Siobhan Elam and Jo Davis, God rest their souls, both amazing. Anyway, here we are. We're doing Blue Heart, which, as Clive says, is 2 plays, 2 one-act plays, both on the theme of parenting. A play called Heart's Desire and a play called Blue Kettle. And together they make an evening called Blue Heart. And they're designed to be performed together. And as I said, they're both on the theme of parenting. The first play is about a middle-aged or elderly couple and their sister-in-law who are awaiting the daughter who's coming back from Australia and they haven't seen her for years, and there's all sorts of expectations about how their relationships will be rekindled. And then the second play is about a con artist and his girlfriend, this young man and woman who are conning old ladies into believing that he is the long-lost child they gave up for adoption many years ago. Two plays on the theme of parenting, designed to be performed by the same cast. Classic Churchill, of course, she's not going to do them in a traditional way. She's famous, I guess, for being very avant-garde and experimental writer. I'm laughing because this is unashamedly experimental. She plays with fractured time and she plays with fractured language. By fractured time, I mean in the very first play, Heart's Desire, where the couple are awaiting this girl to come home. The play itself is 3 minutes long, and the cast perform it 17 times. It's true, not making it. And every time there's a slight variation. So sometimes they'll break into a soliloquy they've not said before, and then the next time through, the soliloquy will be gone. So that soliloquy is sort of buried in the subtext. You know it's there, and you know the character feels it, but they don't speak it. It's an extraordinary game to play. Sometimes, some of those 17 versions are quite surreal. There's one where suddenly a Nazi officer from World War II breaks into the set and says, "Show me your papers," and they all fall to their knees and wave their passports. There's one where a giant flamingo walks on and flies across the stage. You can feel Churchill pushing the boundaries and saying, where can a playwright take a play? And my mind can take us in any place I want it to. And these 17 versions are very fanciful and very fun. Billington says it's the funniest one-act play he's ever seen. Fractured Time. The second play, Blue Kettle, about the con involving the old lady. There's a blue kettle in the middle of the stage, and here she plays with fractured language. Because as they're performing the play, they start to talk in gibberish. And every so often they'll say a line and you'll think, what did she just say? And you realise that syllables in the play are being replaced. One-syllable words are being replaced by the word blue, and two-syllable words are being replaced by the word kettle. And every so often some actor will say, "Blue, do you blue it?" What did you say? And by the end, it's all they're saying. In the final scene, they're just simply saying, "Blue, blue, kettle, 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 blue." It's so clever, because what she's done is create a plot where the emotion transcends the language and you can still follow the story. She's so invested in it emotionally that actually the language becomes unimportant and residual. That's why I think Churchill's a genius. Now, look, I know you do a play like this, which, as I said, is unashamedly experimental. If you like a play with 2 acts, set, a nice clear plot and character you can get your teeth into, for God's sake, don't come in here. Play your brain. If you like a challenge, if you want stimulation, which is actually why I do it. I can't keep doing the same play twice, it would kill me or be stupid. I have a very low boredom threshold. If you want something you can find stimulating and interesting and quite hard work, but exciting, this one might be for you. I know, I'm looking at your faces now, I know. Do you know, it's probably less than a third, about 2/3 of you are thinking, God, Blue Kettle, 17 times, no way. Maybe a third of you, maybe slightly less. I think that's could kind of be interesting. There are 6 actors, 4 women, 2 men. There are a younger couple, and I say younger, that could be 20s, 30s, who are con artists in the second play, and they play smaller roles in the first play. And then there are 4, I say older actors, it could be 50s, 60s, 70s, who play the main characters in the first play, and then play smaller roles in the second play. So it's beautifully spread. It's designed to be done by the same cast. We're auditioning in July, 14th and 15th. Well, the last thing I want to say is, something made me think of it standing here, is I came to about 40 years ago, I came to a bar on AGN, and Ron Jolly stood up, bless him, Martin's granddad, and said, "Barnes just doing too many odd, strange plays. There's not enough box office. There's not enough bums on seats." And my dad, God rest his soul, stood up really cross and he said, "The Barnes not just here to get bums on seats, it's also here to stimulate our actors." Well, thank God we have a studio where we can do that. We can do plays like Blue Hearts. It's great for me to be able to do this after 30 years. Thank you. Thank you.
do a variety of stuff that we can do sell out shows to pay the bills and everything. We also do experimental stuff that we don't. We get great audience. We get great audience. We don't. It doesn't matter. That's not what we're here for. We're here to push theatre and about the Anyway, you know what I'm talking about. Right. November. Let's move to November. With the first of two appearances this evening by Lou Wallace, and no, that is not a typo in the title. So, Lou, you are good. Yes.
Right, so I did manage to persuade three, some of whom were unwilling men to come and read the three Bronte sisters. So I think Paul Russell's going to keep his clothes on, and he's going to be Charlotte, wanting the biggest part. Graham is going to be Anne, which is the underdog display of the story. The line. This one I've got like 3.5 minutes left. Yes, perfect. There we are. I don't know what you're doing. So underdog, the other Bronte, which is probably the worst title for a play anyone's ever come up with. It's a triple guitar. It was in, I think, last season's national program. Along with same season, I think. That's your play. Anyway, maybe not, but it doesn't really matter. I am. Yeah. It was written by Sarah Gordon, not playwright, I know. And yes, it is about the Brontes, and I know. And this is the last time. But this is different. This is irreverent, very anachronistic, and really, really sweary. And there's something about getting a bit older as a woman that means you appreciate that more and more. And this has a lot of those words, and other, literary words as well. So it's a reimagining of some of the scenes that we might be familiar with. And if you know anything about it's uncanny, really. Then there'll be some moments that you know about and some that are new. So the drama, and there is this very funny play, and I think it was kind of criticised for maybe being too funny, actually. But at the there is a kind of the relationship between Charlotte and Anne, her youngest sister, is kind of at the heart of the play. And Charlotte is really required to justify her actions in respect of the legacy of both of her sisters, but particularly Anne. So you might know that Anne wrote two very famous novels called Ten of Walthall Hall and Agnes Grey. And possibly Charlotte Bronte nicked quite a lot of Agnes Grey and then kind of sexed it up and turned it into Jane Eyre. That scene happens. And there's a little bit, there's quite a lot of literary historians that think that probably did happen to an extent. But the worst thing she did is that her other sister, Anne, little Anne over there, she had quite a lot of success with Ten of Walthall, which is now considered to be possibly the first feminist novel. But we didn't realise that because Charlotte, after Anne's death at 29, at 29, Charlotte had guardianship of her sister's writings and decided that it was not going to be published. It's not going to be republished. And it kind of got buried by history. And it was not republished, and I was shocked, because I thought it was earlier than this. It was not republished until 1992, which is a shock. So, it existed, but not really in consciousness. So that there's a couple of quite serious scenes where Charlotte, in a very brazen way, tries to justify what she did and tries and probably fails to make herself not look like kind of a bitch, really, which is the fact that she turns out. So characters, We have Charlotte, who's the narrator of the play. And she's in the moment, she's in the audience. She is aware of the audience the whole time. And yeah, her character is really interesting. She is not necessarily likable. There was this awful bit in the 90s called the Ladette. And maybe there's a little bit of Ladette or laddie, if you like, culture about Charlotte. She is unapologetically ambitious. Her humour is quite coarse. There's a fabulous scene where she gets into a members' club, like a men's club, not one of those clubs. And there's a full-on disco scene where there's drugs going around and all kinds of things. So it's very anachronistic. But she wants to be part of that world. She wants to be known, as we all know. And then we have Anne, who is possibly the underdog of the title. And is described by her sister as being meek and a mouse, but really isn't. And if you read what she's written, there's no way that she was kind of meek, mouse-like character. And then we have Emily, that's known for maybe being the wacky one, where in this version, she's the peacemaker, sorry. But she has a kind of strong as well. So we have 3 female, probably, playing those roles, and then we have 5 other actors who ideally are all men and play another 35 roles ish. There are 56 costume changes. I mean, and that might be, a hat. It's not a kind of full-on costume. So both very light costume changes. Right. Maybe. We have got some people helping. I think I might have just nabbed someone to help with costumes, but we might need about 3 other people with definitely with us dresses. Do have set, do have Robert's going to do sound, maybe as a DJ. We didn't discuss that. So we have some that are, if you were interested in being involved in a production, please come and see me. 3.5 minutes. Right. So we're going to have a little bit of text. I will deliver the stage directions. These are our actors with a northern accent. Anyway, okay. Emily Bronte appears holding a letter. As Emily enters, the house is transported to 1837, Bronte House within Haworth, West Yorkshire. Half of them indicated indistinct voices argue in the background, both male and female. Charlotte speaks to the audience, introducing. Go.
All I see is Emily.
Oh, Emily's gone like this.
Charlotte,
Then Charlotte says,
middle sister, above us, a brother Bradwell and a father fighting with Anne, the youngest being very, 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 very good as ever, playing mediator.
Emily hands Charlotte an envelope, imagine that. And Emily says,
Sally has replied. But Sally?
She's the tears open the letter, finishing in an northern accent. She paces around the room, reading, whilst an agitated Emily waits, tense.
And what does he say?
Charlotte faces defensively.
You're not going to be a child about this, are you? Being a child, just to tell you, it's my letter and it is not your letter, it's mine. Bloody hell. Still at it.
Voices.
Keep their opinions. Stairs. Away from me. What's going on?
Exciting. What's he said?
It cannot be a business, a woman's life, and it ought not to be.
Oh,
If she's engaged in her duties, the less leisure she will have for it, even as an accomplishment and a recreation. There's a bird. She is the quiet.
The auditions will be in July after Steve's play had auditions. It is a lot of fun. It's fun. Yeah. There we are. on a see heaven.
Follow that. Now something really different. Well, Christmas has come early. Which is great. Something magical, Christmas. And there's an anomaly, in the word, on your sheet because as we often do for the show, to make the decision early, and we're opening it on the Thursday night, which is usually the Tuesday night. So that's correct. Next slide, please. That's correct, but your feet still say the 11th. So they've gone to print for you in line. I just switched what they were. So to explain everything, here's Godfrey. Godfrey Barry.
Pandemic was at my age, I decided it would be a good idea to send me away from the office to work from home. I subsequently discovered that they didn't actually need me at the office. 10 minutes would be the longest I have talked since 2020. The Delights by John Masefield, staged by Piers Torday. In the 1930s, before C.S. Lewis wrote the Narnia books, in lots of ways quite different. They're both around Christmas because C.S. Lewis was a formidable Christian theologian that informs everything he writes about in the Narnia series. Maxfield's main interest in Christmas appears to be singing carols, which is fine. There's a cathedral choir comes in every so often and dumps out a banger. It'd be very nice to have a really nice choir every night. I don't think we can manage that, so I would like somebody in the nature of a musical director and a nice choir, and pre-record it, and live actors can supplement that when it happens. Maxfield's main interest, Englishness and magic. I think the opening scene, he's on a train and he's almost sensuously made up all these English place names. If you can imagine being on a train and going deeper into the countryside and hearing all these names you've never heard before, but you know they are English place names. Towards the end of the play, a character is expecting Father Christmas, a sled pulled by reindeer, and it turns out not to be Father Christmas, it turns out to be the ancient British god Hans Hunter, sled pulled by lions and unicorns. This will not be a practical effect. Really brings us to the crux of this production, which is that it is a story about magical transformations. Box of Delights is an ancient magical box. It's been fought over by two ancient sorcerers who have lived for centuries, a good one and a bad one. There are transformations. There's a phoenix rising from the ashes. There is a flying car. There is the set. Takes the set on. It requires a dungeon which fills up with water. And then the consequent scene takes place in water. Central character spends part of the production miniaturised, walking around, so the elder sorcerer is surrounded the guise of a Punch and Judy man, so picking up on that, I think possibly using hand puppets, expand that into other bits of the narrative. The main thing is we've got to convey all these magical transformations. Some decades ago, which is how my memory works these days, there was a musical version of Mutiny on the Bounty, starring the extraordinarily agreeable David Essex. And the picture of this, I remember it being reviewed Jewish Bounty on stage. Not only pitch and toss as a ship at sea, but it would actually turn round, this sort of thing, which was very much the second point. The music and the words obviously weren't so good because it felt and everybody's forgotten it. But this was written, I think, with this idea in mind. For a theatre with resources, it could present it. We can't do that. So we'll find other ways of doing it. I'm hoping in terms of projection, there's an induction scene that's been added to the story set in the present day with a young boy from the present day, his grandfather, who is the boy in the main action. like that to be sort of in the format of mobile phone, TikTok sort of idea. If we can manage it, I think we probably can. Transformations of the whole, maybe AI means we can do more with that than we could have done a couple of years ago. I don't know. The great thing about ignorance is you've more scope for hope. I'd like to take the skill effects that can model work, but the main thing we need, obviously, is actors. That's the main way you've got to tell a story on stage. So, like as many people turning up as possible, auditioning for this, and if you want to be in this play, I promise you'll get something interesting to do. And if you want to make contributions, that's great, because we've got lots of problems here with not obvious solutions. Tribute to that. The main characters, there are lots of characters who come on for a line or two, so thinking in terms of doubling up quite a lot. You've got the two sorcerers themselves, the good sorcerer, as I say, itinerant Punch and Judy man, wise. He is accompanied by a dog, and I'll be perfectly honest, I would like the dog to be a child actually in a costume. I think that solves quite a lot of problems, really. He's also done because he's really basically a Bond villain, except that he's some decades before Bond villains. On 3 occasions, he brutally murders subordinates for having family. One of whom is a talking rat for no particular reason, which is the sort of play it is. There's all these ideas coming into Macefield's imagination. I want to convey that. He's found his inner little boy with this one, and it's a little boy's fantasy of travelling into mysterious rural England, all sorts of things cropping up from the past, and I say, magical transformations, things you're not expecting. There's a great role for the principal villainess, who's probably a witch, but he's definitely a gangster, and she's dead cool, and towards the end of the play, she double crosses the villain and escapes with the loot. There are 3. There's the protagonist and his 2 friends who are children, prefer, I think, actors in their teens who could pass for children in front of an audience of adults at any rate. The main one, a stout-hearted schoolboy of a familiar sort. His female friend, who is a tomboy who's into pirates and guns. There is a point at which she and the villainess have a race to disassemble and reassemble a firearm, just as they're kindred spirits. And the third, who's also a boy, the third friend, who's also a boy, but he's very nerdy and unsure of himself. They're nice parts. They're quite substantial. So they're nice parts for younger people. As I say, plenty of other parts, including the choir, who come on at all points. And what we got, what I'm aiming for is to give the audience an experience of a dream. Possibly frame stage with something like the front of a Punch and Judy show. Moving between different levels of reality and generally give the audience something that they wouldn't have expected when they came in. So, haven't got anybody organised for this yet. So, builder, musical director, costumes, any number of costumes, I should think. Public work, there's no limit. I hope that it will be an interesting, exciting production to be in. If you think you'd like to contribute, that's great. If you're the sort of actor who just likes being told what to do by the director, I can accommodate that as well. Thank you very much indeed. I don't think there's anything else I want to cover there. So, thank you very much.
Another challenge, is that big Williams. Okay, we go into the new year with a brand new release, which we're very happy to get hold of. It's a West End smash that's going to be sensational. Here's once again Songs Bonnet this time. Rob Graham, tell us more.
Well, quick, he's already given a plug for the youth show, but I just want to give another quick plug to it.
The average ticket sales for the production so far in the bar season this year have been just over 80%. So that equates to something like about 900 seats, I think, during the course of the run. We're just putting on 5 performances for the youth group. If I can get like 70 people in, I think 70 is a respectable audience. I need something like 350 pounds on seats, which is well less than half of a normal production. So I really would like everyone to come along and support it if you can. We've had our second rehearsal now, really our first proper rehearsal today. The kids are doing really, really well. We've thrown a couple of extra surprise bits into it, which aren't in the script already, and it's possibly really good. Okay, now my 10 minutes starts, does it? Okay. Sticks of rock. Anyone want to stick a rock? Stick of rock. Not allergies. Stick of rock. My second bonnet. So, Hills of California. Jez Butterworth. I'm pretty sure I need to say much more than that. Jez Butterworth. I mean, what a guy. So, Jerusalem, The Ferryman, Parlour Song, and as Clive said, this is his latest play, Hills of California, which premiered in the Hurricane Theatre in 2024, directed by Sam Mendes. I don't know if anyone got to see it. If you did, hopefully you were blown away, certainly like I was. I went straight to see it again. And I watched it and thought, this feels so good. What a shame we'd never be able to put it on the bar because it was just such an amazing, complicated set. And then I went to see it again and thought, bugger it would just be great if we could put it on anyway. And within about 5 minutes of it coming for amateur release, I emailed Clive and said, "It's proud of this." And fortunately, he said yes, and so did Nick Hearn. So we've got it. So good. Honestly, I'm so every now and then a player comes along, we're just so excited and thrilled to get it, and this is the one. One of the critics said it's a remarkable play, unfolds with the richness and depth of a well-crafted novel. Butterworth is a man who can write plays about ordinary people that carry the charge of great tragedies. So right. Essentially, it's a rich, funny, brilliantly layered drama about sibling rivalry, parenting, lost dreams, and letting go. Now, the play opens in Blackpool, hence the rink. In the stifling summer of 1976, many of you will remember it, maybe not as well as me, but I remember it very well indeed, as 3 of the 4 Webb sisters reunite in the run-down guest house of their terminally ill mother, who's lying dying upstairs. The return of a long estranged 4th sister from America is awaited with varying degrees of anticipation by the other sisters. There's clearly some tensions amongst the siblings, and varying tensions amongst the siblings towards their elder sister, and we're not quite sure exactly why before she comes back. We then get transported 25 years earlier, and we meet the 4 younger siblings when they're in their teens, and they're being put through a song and dance routine paces by their single-minded mother, she's got tunnel vision ambitions for them to be the next Andrews sisters. She unfortunately, she's painfully unaware that the musical landscape is about to change completely. Elvis Presley has already started to become a big thing in America. And so, frankly, her desire for the kids to be the Andrews sisters is never going to take off, but she just doesn't see that. So it's quite tragic. As the play unfolds, we continue to flip between the 2 time periods, and we learn more of the mother's influence over her children and what led to the breakdown of the relationship between her and her children and the individual relationships between the siblings. It's a beautiful play, it really is. Now, strong humour, sadness, and there's a real gut punch moment about 2/3 of the way through the play, which I won't tell you what it is. So those people who saw it will know. Parts. Oh my God, all parts are brilliant. I need 13 actors in total. 9 women, 4 men. Essentially, I've got the 4 older sisters and the 4 younger sisters, so that's 8. And then in addition to that, there's a housekeeper, but she also plays a nurse, and it's actually quite a reasonable part. So I kind of need 9. there is the mother as well. Now, in the West End production, one of the sisters doubled up as the mother, and I'd be quite keen to explore that as well, if we can do that. So essentially, that would be in four, and we'd probably able to rehearse a lot of that with we could do with four with the kids and then four with the adults. Again, a bit like when Hannah was saying, I mean, age-wise, I need the four younger girls to be younger girls. I mean, ideally, they'd be non-chaperonable age, but they should be round about, they're supposed to be around about sort of 15, 16. And bless you. And and again, for the older sisters, they're supposed to be sort of early 40s. Again, if we're flexible, it's just trying to make sure that you've got kind of four people that work as siblings, and ideally the four younger siblings sort of match their counterparts a little bit. That reminds me of the time I did years ago, which was Lilies of the Land. So the teens, I need them to be able to do song and dance. That's absolutely essential. The older sisters, less so, but there is a little bit of singing for some of the sisters, but it's mainly the younger ones where you're getting to work on a song and dance routine. So I'll be looking for someone to try and help me with the musical accompaniment. I think I might have someone, but I'm not entirely sure. So as I say, some flexibility with the ages, but all the characters of the sisters, we've got Gillian, Gloria, Ruby, and Joan. Joan's the one that comes back from America. No spoilers, but she does come back towards the end of the play. Fantastic characters, as is the mother, Veronica. They're really beautiful parts. The four men, they aren't as big parts as the women, but they are all beautifully drawn characters, and they all double up. So depending on the time period, they can flip between the two. I do need a piano player. That's essential because I need an accompanist to accompany us to the girls, and he then doubles up as a piano tuner in 1976. So that's quite an important role. And then I need two husbands from 1976. Don't have a huge amount to do in that time period. They have a really nice comic scene, but then they do even more, I think, in the 1950s period, where one of them becomes one of them is a local performer, and that's an absolute doozy of a part. There's some cracking one-liners, really funny, really funny line, really funny part. And finally, there's an American impresario who comes across to see whether he can promote the girls and get them to seek their fame and fortune. That's pretty much almost a cameo part, but he's on stage for about 10, 12 pages. But again, it's a terrific part, and it's intrinsically central to the plot of the play. So that's So I say all four men, all 9 women. They're great parts. Really excited about it. What I have done is I used to work in Blackpool for 2 years, so it quite appeals to me. And they talked about all the street names, which I know, and so it kind of appeals to me. And I've taken the liberty of booking an Airbnb for the entire cast for a weekend in November. Contribute towards it when they get cast anyway. So it'd be great to go. I mean, there's nothing quite like going to Blackpool in November. I want to be able to go to the. I just want to be able to go to the pleasure beach, and I want to go to. Must recreate the front picture, which is the girls on the at the pleasure beach. I want it on a roller coaster. So that's what the plan. Staging wise, I've got stage manager, Maddie, thank you. I've got the costumes again, thank you. I've got who else have I got? Well, let's try about light. I don't know where he stands on that, but maybe Trevor might be interested in the light tech. I've who else have I got? Ali's doing my prompt. She's promised me that she'll get some hearing aids, proper ones. Who else? So I need some props. All the various bits. Oh, set design. I'm lucky enough. I've got the lady who designed all our children for children's art for Steve. She's going to do the set design, hopefully, because I need a piano, I need a staircase, I need jukebox. Yeah, I need quite a lot of stuff. I need a bar and a working cooker. But I mean, apart from that, fine. Yeah, I'm so stoked about this. I'm so excited. It's going to be fantastic. I auditions as soon as I possibly can. There's a lot to be done in this play. It's Jess Butterworth. It's quite long. It's quite a long play. We'll be starting it at 7:30. This play, not 8 o'clock. Make sure that we can still get in the bar. That's it. I do have scripts. If anyone wants to have chat to me afterwards. Thank you very much.
So come to February and something else that is probably newer than it sounds actually, because it's classic, but it's a brand new version of it, or almost brand new, newish version of it, which brings it up and in my opinion, I think Simon's as well, better than the originals. Going on too much. Simon, tell us more. Simon, you're on.
Probably more conscious. If you're old enough to remember. Good evening. Tonight's tale concerns a charming London flat, a beautiful wife, and a husband whose devotion has developed accounting skills. Tony Wendis was once a celebrated tennis champion. These days, he spends less time chasing trophies and more time studying bank balances, particularly those belonging to his wealthy wife, Margot. Unfortunately for Tony, Margot has made the reckless social error of falling in love with another man, an American crime writer named Max Halliday. In less civilized circles, this might result in yes, in less civilized circles, this might result in tears, in harsh words, an unpleasant weekend in Brighton. But Tony is a man of refinement. He prefers murder.
In the door.
So, with the precision of a man planning Wimbledon strategy, Tony devises the perfect crime. He blackmails an old acquaintance into murdering Margot while he establishes a flawless alibi. Everything is timed to the minute. The phone call, the entrance, the attack, a masterpiece of calculation. What could possibly go wrong? Sorry. Yeah, okay. Yeah. I'll do that bit now. Do that bit now. Thank you. Right. Yeah. Okay. Sorry about that. Now, that's sounded vaguely familiar. That was Dialing for Murder, the original play. Clive's already alluded that, as has the person on the phone, that I'm not doing the original play. Okay, I'm doing the 2023 adaptation by Jeffrey Hatcher. Now, do not panic. It keeps the original plot and suspense structure of the original. What it does do is update tones, themes, and character dynamics. And this is what makes it much more exciting. It's more contemporary in terms of it being delivering a much more emotional punch and a much more, I guess, focus on the psychology behind the characters. One of the key changes in this is that of the affair. In the original, Margot falls in love with the American crime writer. In this one, Margot doesn't have an affair with a man. In this version, the character is changed to a woman. Now, that really does raise the stakes of what's going on between these two and the way that Tony can manipulate the situation, because being set in the 1950s, kind of like same-sex relationships really raises the stakes there. They were risky both socially and legally, and it was completely scandalous. So, as in the original, where it was just plain adultery that was kind of like the justification for what he was doing, this is something far more dangerous, which makes him a much more interesting character. But it also makes the female characters much more interesting. It also doubles them in the company. The female characters, Margot and Maxine, are much more intelligent in this one. They're given more agency. They've got much more control over the action and what happens. They don't just sit there as kind of passive people who kind of like either get involved in the action or kind of like just watch and stand by. They shape the plot. They are capable. They are proactive and they are independent. Margot herself is much less passive in this version. She's much more of a kind of like a character of energy and action and looking to drive things forward. Maxine herself, she just doesn't stand by and observe what's going on. So much more layered and much more interesting, and probably two dream roles for actresses within the company. Dialogue and the tone has also changed. The original Frederick Knott play was quite expositional in its dialogue. It was kind of like, oh, we've got to tell you what's going on in this play, and we've got to describe it here. And all of that has gone. So you've got a much faster paced dialogue. It's much more modern in its style of delivery. It's less formal, but it does keep that kind of stylish London 1950s sophistication about it. And the result of that is that this version is much sharper. It's much more tense. It really ramps up. The pacing is excellent. And the final change is with Tony. Tony was kind of like in the original one. He's kind of a debonair kind of character who kind of like dwells on his tennis players. This Tony is much darker, much more controlling. There's a greater focus on the manipulation and coercive behaviour that he elicits. And then the overall effect, well, it retains that structure. So we still have the planned murder. We still have the failed strangulation. We still have the idea of Margot being framed. And we still have this great detective who comes in and solves the case. But it is a much faster, much pacier, much more energetic and lively and exciting version than the original. Now, in terms of the production itself, I am going to need to go for a naturalistic production completely. Aside from the final scene, which takes place a few months after the main action of the play, it all takes place across a Friday and a Saturday evening, so about a 24-hour period. It's a stylish 1950s London flat, and it needs that kind of 1950s upper middle class, polished, sophisticated styling to it. In my head, I'm looking at the set that we just had for the Late Edwina Black, which was stunning. Something akin to that. It needs that because the set is and the room, this idea of the kind of single space thriller. The set needs to be part of that. It needs to convey that 1950s stylish, but it also needs that kind of like Hitchcockian edge of it being like a trap as well. So if you're a set designer out there and really want to get your teeth into something really quite special, this is perhaps one for you. In terms of a company, it is going to be a small company. Anyone who worked with me on Things I Know to Be True will know how great it is to work in a small company on a play. That's one of my favourite experiences of working in this theatre. So I've already got a few people lined up. Production manager Sharon, somewhere in there, has said, do that. Nigel has stepped up for stage manager, and I think he's press gang Vicky into being an assistant stage manager as well. Stephen Khan, somewhere in here, has kindly volunteered to do the lighting, which is fantastic. In terms of the cast, it is a cast of 5, but it can be played by 4. I did go and see it, not this version, but I did see a version of Dial M for Murder where Captain Lesgate, who is the criminal Tony convinces to murder his wife, was doubled with Inspector Hubbard. One appears in the first half of the play, the other appears in the second. So ideally 5, but could be played with 4. We've got Tony, who's charming and manipulative. Margot, his wife, intelligent, emotionally conflicted. Maxine is sharp, perceptive. She's an American crime writer. Really, really great role. We've got Captain Lesgate, the ex-criminal, desperate, finally agrees to undertake this murder on behalf of Tony. And then we expect Hubbard, this calm, observant, and careful, attention to detail kind of character. Thank you very much. Playing dates. We're going from the 5th to the 13th of February. I'm planning to audition in October, sometime just after Rob has auditioned his, with an idea of starting in November so that we can get a decent break over the Christmas period. There is one health warning that comes with this production, and anyone who signs up to it, you need to be aware that there are only 12 days between Rob's show closing and this one opening, which means we have one weekend in this space. So with that in mind, if you're thinking of getting involved in this, you have to keep that weekend kind of like free and available. I'm going to do this kind of Minac style. Anyone who's been down to the Minac will know you kind of you do all day rehearsals on the Saturday and on the Sunday so that you are ready for opening. But that's absolutely got to be in there. So if you get involved in this play, you are going to need to keep that weekend just prior to when production opening free, so we get as much time on stage as possible, whilst allowing the crew to build this intricate and wonderful set that I'm hoping. Any questions? I'll see you in the bar. Right.
Before we go to the interval, I did promise you, Matt, you're talking, saying a few words about X. So here he is coming up now to.
I don't take too much of your time, but I have a brief promotional message for you all. You've been hearing about this new sexy season and all of its wonders, getting excited about potentially being in this or helping out with that. But please don't forget your old faithful who's been with you through thick and thin, the current season. X is on this very stage in just over a month's time, the 12th to the 20th of June. You may have seen our preview in the latest Bar News, but this play will make you laugh, cry, and possibly scream. It's set in space, and it's quite unorthodox. It's also a real thinker of a piece with challenging elements and interesting points for discussion afterwards. The acting is great, despite what Paul demonstrated earlier in his bonnet. The tech team is possibly even better, and I know we're going to deliver a wonderful performance with a lasting memory. But don't take it from me. Alan, who writes press releases from the barn, came to our first run today to watch and described it as a beautiful but difficult watching what happens to these characters throughout the piece. He was thoroughly impressed, and I'm sure you will all be too, but don't bring your kids. If you don't think it's your usual thing, please still come. I promise you won't regret it. Finally, I've saved the best news until last. Box office will be open in the break for you to buy as many tickets as you can afford the remaining shows this season. I know that Sharon, Rob, and myself, along with our respective casts and crews, would really appreciate the support. Thank you very much for your time.
There's obviously the box office still with, there'll be queues at the bar, but let's bring it down to 15 minutes or so.